I, female 27, am due to get married to my partner, male 28, this summer. My brother Josh, 32, is refusing to come to the wedding, and I think he's being unreasonable and childish. Our wedding's going to be child-free, with no kids under the age of 13-ish. The youngest guests will be around 12 to 13 years old at the time of the wedding. My partner and I don't hate children, and we had multiple reasons for having our wedding this way. Personally, I think that weddings are mostly boring, unenjoyable experiences from the point of view of small children, so it's hardly surprising that they'll act up. Josh has 2 kids, kindergarten-age twins, and he's commented that we're selfish for having a child-free wedding, and that if we aren't inviting his kids, then he's not going. I can understand his perspective, but he's not trying to understand ours. When Josh got married 7 years ago, he and his wife also had a child-free wedding. Last weekend, we attended a family party. It was someone's birthday, and some family members brought up the topic of my upcoming wedding. Josh scoffed the whole time and commented that he wouldn't know about it because he's excluded. His comments caused short, awkward silences, but no one responded to them. Later, when I was talking to Josh alone, I told him he's still invited to the wedding, and whether he and his wife can go or not, those are his options, and his making snide comments isn't going to change the plans. He said that I was alienating his children, and that they'd be very sad about this when they're older, and that they would love to be flower girls. I called him a hypocrite and told him to grow up, which was the end of the conversation. Our parents are now getting involved, and my dad told me that he and my stepmom will not be at the wedding if Josh isn't. I'm not close with him for unrelated reasons, and our relationship is rocky at best, so I just told him that's up to him. My mom is asking me to make an exception for Josh's kids. She said that I'm acting like a narcissist, and that we all have to make compromises sometimes. Am I the idiot? Edit. He hasn't said that he regrets having a child-free wedding. He just told me that was his choice at the time, and it was a long time ago. Josh and I have 5 other siblings. 3 of them had kids or babies at the time of his wedding, and some of our step-siblings also had young children, and they all got babysitters. Not the idiot. You now know what to say to him. It's your choice, and one day it'll be long ago, just like his. Then refuse to discuss it further, and just let him know that he has a decision to make, as do the parents. Daddy should be reminded what he's going to miss. Mention in his hearing that you'll need to find someone else to walk you down the aisle and do a dance with. Josh is indeed hypocritical and is being strangely petulant and dramatic now. Your mom's also out of line, and the remarks about narcissism are ridiculous. It's so sad that other family members are caving to Josh and choosing sides in a totally unnecessary way. Is Josh out to sabotage your wedding over this? Because he needs to hear that this is what he's doing. He's making it all about him and speaking of things that'll never be forgiven. Maybe he needs to know you'll never forgive him for ruining your wedding by causing drama and getting others to boycott on his behalf, all because you're making the same choice that he made 7 years ago. Absolutely. And it's amazing that OP's being called selfish when that's actually who Josh is. He's annoyed because it's his kids that are being excluded now. He didn't care about other kids when he got married, and still probably doesn't. It's classic, it's now happening to me, so it matters now energy. He could get a sitter for 3 hours of the wedding. It's not like he's not allowed to go out at all. OP's right. Weddings are boring for kids. If your parents refuse to go to your wedding because Josh is pouting, then they're all choosing to be no better than toddlers throwing a tantrum. It would appear that he's the favorite child because your parents are choosing him over you on your special day. I'm sorry. Refuse to discuss this issue anymore with them and hold your ground. Please don't listen to their threats. If they show up, great. If they don't, that's fine too. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. I, 34 female, am married to my husband, 36, and have been for 3 years. I have 2 dogs that I've had since before I married him. My dogs are like my children. He knows this, and I thought that was how he thought of them. My job requires me to go on many trips throughout the month. These trips can vary from 3 days to 3 weeks. Before I started this job, I talked to my husband, and I explained that I would be away a lot and that it would leave him to take care of the house. Before you say it's not his job to take care of the dogs, I did say he wouldn't have to do much, just feed them dinner, as I would feed them breakfast, unless I'm away, and that's it. I would walk them when I got home. He agreed, and it all seemed fine. Now fast forward to a month ago, I had a work trip coming up, and it was quite a long one. It would be for 2 weeks, and I prepared my husband for it, telling him what needed to be done. He told me not to worry and that he would be fine, so I left it. On the day I had to leave for my trip, I said goodbye and got in the taxi. When I arrived, I settled in and did the usual. However, I got a text from my mom asking if something happened with my dogs. I was really confused and asked her what she meant. She said she went to drop off some things and saw my dogs tied up on the front porch. I was shocked and told her to send a picture. I told her to untie my dogs and take them with her, and I would cancel my trip and come home. Once I got home and opened the front door, my husband was in the living room on the phone with someone sounding alarmed. I tried to act normal and walked up to him. He seemed surprised to see me and then very worried. I asked him what was wrong, and he said he lost my dogs. I knew what had really happened, but I played along. I said, "How?" And he sheepishly told me he had locked them outside for making too much noise, and someone must have taken them. I was so disappointed, to say the least. I asked him why he would do that, and he said they were annoying him and it shouldn't be his responsibility. I went upstairs, packed a bag, and left to stay at my mom's. He asked me where I was going as I tried to leave the door. I said I was taking a break to think things over. Since I got to my mom's, he's been blowing up my phone, calling me overdramatic. Even my mother-in-law's been calling me dramatic and selfish. I haven't told him I have my dogs, but it's not just about that. It's about the fact that I don't trust him anymore. I've decided to get a divorce after speaking to my mom and best friend. My dogs are my priority. Let me know if I am the idiot. Not the idiot. You set a clear boundary. He could have suggested boarding them if he wasn't up to the task. That may have made you angry, but at least it would have been honest. As this wasn't your first trip, he's probably done it. That was borderline cruel. I'm not sure why you married him in the first place, to be honest. Is putting the dogs outside for a little bit cruel? How? I'm confused as to whether I'm missing something here, like genuine danger, or if people think it's cruelty to animals to have dogs outside. You are the idiot, OP. Immediate divorce is your solution to this minor issue? That's actually sad. I know kids with better problem-solving skills. I see them as my children is my first red flag with anyone, not gonna lie. You're genuinely crazy, and the people agreeing with you, thinking husband committed this heinous crime when he simply put a dog, yes, an animal, outside? He should be divorcing you, not the idiot. I don't understand those people saying he's not responsible for the dogs. He is. Dogs were there before they got married. He knew that the dogs were part of the household when he married you and that he might need to care for them, especially if she's always traveled for work. What is wrong with you people? No wonder relationships fail when you don't treat it like a partnership instead of this mine versus yours BS. Also, the problem isn't putting the dogs away for a few hours, which is bad if they aren't used to being tied outside. It's the lying. He hid it from her. How many times has he done it before? I wouldn't be able to trust him either. My dad bought a cabin before he married my mom. It became a family place for us when he married my mom and they had me. And when he wrote his will, he left the cabin to me, not my mom. My mom helps look after it, but full ownership goes to me, a teen male, when I turn 18. My dad died when I was 7, and my mom remarried when I was 10. My mom has 2 kids with her current husband, a toddler male and a young female grammar schooler. When my mom got engaged and found out she was pregnant, she asked me if I would be okay with the cabin remaining for the family and including her husband and a new baby. She wanted to keep it as the family vacation spot. However, she said that if I turned around once, I owned it entirely and said I didn't want her and her husband and new kids to be there. She wasn't going to ruin any memories for them or cause them any heartache by bringing them knowing that they'd no longer be able to go in a few years. I told her I wouldn't want them to use it and wouldn't let it be used by her new family. She told me they were our family, not just hers. She saw that I still didn't want to let it be for them as well, so she never took them there. Before Christmas, my mom let her sister-in-law and family stay in the cabin because they lost their house. Since then, my half-sister's been asking questions about it, wondering why she never goes there, etc. My mom told her it was mine, and she looked after it for me until I was an adult, and she wanted the family to be safe. So then my half-sister asked when we're all going to go, why we don't ever stay there, and how she wants to see it. My mom asked me if I had changed my mind yet, and I said nope. So my mom was trying to make my half-sister less upset about it, but she would ask questions once a week about this cabin and say she wanted to visit. This angered my mom's husband, who said it was ridiculous that the family owned a cabin and that they couldn't use it. He said around me once, and I told him, it's not owned by the family, it's owned by me. My mom is now blaming me, saying it put everyone in a bad position because her in-laws stayed there, but she can't bring her kids. I told her that wasn't my fault. She was the one who offered the cabin all by herself, and I had no say in it. She told me it was the right thing to do, and the right thing to do now would be to accept that my family has changed and let them all enjoy the cabin. I told her I couldn't stop her for the next 2 years, but it wasn't going to be used once I took full control. Mom and her husband both told me that wasn't the correct way to behave. They said I made my half-sister upset by letting her aunt, uncle, and cousin stay. I told my mom she let them stay, not me, and she needed to own it instead of blaming me. They were mad that it implied that I would have refused to let them stay and that I don't see how my actions are the root problem in everything. Am I the idiot? Who pays taxes, maintenance, and upkeep for the cabin? You or your mother or stepfather? Everyone's the idiot here. You're all acting immature. Your mother should have used it while having the chance, instead of allowing you to spite everyone else. If this is in the U.S., and it's a state with property taxes, I truly hope you can afford them as soon as you turn 18. I doubt Mom and Stepdad will be willing to pay them. I'm surprised Stepdad is okay with family funds going towards it now. I don't understand why OP, Mom, Stepdad, and half-siblings can't use the cabin each year. As long as it wasn't trashed, and the stepdad and step-siblings were clear that it was not family-owned, I don't see why they couldn't use it together. I could see the OP putting down the rules that extended family does not get to use it. I'd feel weird knowing that I have a cabin and not using it with my immediate family. You are the idiot, and you need to mature. You're being spiteful and selfish for no reason at all. Your father bought the cabin to make family memories, not so his child could act like a landlord. Wrong. The father bought the cabin before he married OP's mother. OP's father left the cabin to them, not his wife. You are not the idiot. Your mom put herself in this position. I'm curious exactly what your half-sister was told about the cabin and who told her, though. I know young children can hyperfixate on the most random stuff, but this seems like someone, stepdad maybe, used this opportunity to try to force your hand. Your mother needs to rein in her new husband and put him in his place. I, a 26-year-old female, moved into a small apartment block 2 weeks ago. I've been busy setting up the place, furniture, and everything else. The afternoon I moved in, one of my neighbors came up to the steps. Each apartment has a little front area, and mine faces the car park. She introduced herself as a single mom with a preschool-age daughter and gave me a small succulent to say welcome. I was very appreciative and said thank you, and we spoke for a few minutes. I work 3 days from home, and I'm usually home in the evening after work and at night. This neighbor started showing up a lot. I can generally hear her approaching with her daughter, and they'll show up with a painting or something the daughter's made to give to me. It's nice, but I prefer to keep to myself, and often I'm in my baggy tee or not dressed for visitors. I have to make myself presentable in under a minute with no notice. In this last instance, they showed up around 7 p.m. The daughter had made some kind of drawing and wanted to drop it off. I'd had a long day. I was in a giant sweater looking a mess, but insanely comfy, eating ice cream on the couch and watching a film. I saw them through the window and had to quickly jump up, put on shorts and greet them at the door. Said thank you as always, but the daughter wanted to come in and see what I was watching. Nothing terrible, just a bit too grown up for a preschooler. I politely said, look, thank you, but I'm really not in the mood tonight, and could they please leave? My neighbor responded, but she's just a kid. It'll only be a few minutes, and she loves making things to show you. I said, look, I'm child-free by choice. Can you please leave? Thank you, and good night. They have not been back since, but they left a note in my mailbox explaining I was rude, her daughter was upset and cried, and they'd be open to an apology. I haven't responded, but I don't want to apologize. Am I the idiot for turning them away? Not the idiot. Unannounced visitors are the worst, especially when there's no valid reason for the surprise visit. She's just a kid? This means absolutely nothing, and I don't care what your age is. I said no. You were neighborly. That's good. Great. They don't understand normal social boundaries. I bet this woman's trying to befriend you so she can easily say, oops, I have an emergency. Could you watch my child? To her friend in the building. That's precisely where this is headed. Keep your distance if you don't want to end up either as the unwilling babysitter or making a phone call to CPS because she's abandoned her kid on your doorstep. Not the idiot for turning them away, and no need for an apology. That's the mom's way of building an entitlement doorway that leaves you open to owing the mom something. Clearly, a position you don't want to find yourself in. I work in a beauty supply store where we sell makeup, hair care products, etc. We got these little freckle pens in recently. When I was younger, I would always get a few freckles in the summer from playing outside in the sun all day. Now that I'm older, I try to take better care of my skin. I use sunscreen and try to limit my exposure. I miss my freckles, so I decided to try the pen. I picked out the lightest shade so they'd look natural. It worked wonderfully, and now I use it almost every day. I met up with one of my friends for lunch yesterday, and she looked at me funny and asked, have you always had freckles? I told her about the freckle pen, and she told me it doesn't sit right with her soul, and that she was bullied as a child for having freckles, and now people wear them as a fashion statement. I told her I just thought they were cute, and she said it felt like cultural appropriation. I'm not in the wrong here. Obviously, it sucks that she was bullied, but I don't think using a freckle pen is the same thing as cultural appropriation. Not the idiot. Cultural appropriation? Since when are freckles culture? People need to find hobbies. It's like dyeing your hair blonde if you're not a natural blonde. I'm a redhead, and I have freckles mostly all over my body, especially in the summer. Of course it's okay for you to have fake freckles. Your friend is very immature and just weird. The sit right in my soul got me. The friend acted as if her saying this statement made her beliefs more important than anything else in that moment. Does she get mad when people change their hair color? Does she get mad when people change their overall fashion style? Geez, I can't stand people like this. Do you have an opinion? Great. It doesn't have to be respected or enacted as reality. Not the idiot. Your style and makeup choices are your business.